Yo, what is up everyone? Today I'm going to be explaining the story of my R33 and why I ended up selling it. Yeah, so for those of you who are new to the channel, I had an R33 before I had my R34 and I ended up selling it. I don't regret selling it. I think by the end of this video you'll kind of understand why I did it. But I still get people to this day that comment like, oh, I wish you didn't sell the 33, the 34 is a downgrade, you should have kept the 33. And I get why they comment that, the 33 was a cool car. But, you know, like I said, let's just get into the video and I'll tell the whole story. And I realized that I've never told the whole story in one, like, combined video, maybe bits and pieces here and there. So this will be good for anybody who's curious as to what actually happened. Now, just to make sure you know what car I'm talking about, it's my R33. It's an automatic turbo coupe, and I ended up buying the automatic just because it was cheaper. I do regret buying the automatic. I thought that a swap would be a lot cheaper and I never ended up getting around to it. So if you're on the fence about buying automatic or manual, trust me, just buy the manual one, even if it's a little more expensive. You have way more fun. The 4-speeds suck. But basically, my car never ran amazing. It always had some sort of boost leak or something that it needed addressed. It was never at like 100%. And the problem was I had an injector that would go bad every now and then, causing the engine to misfire. And I never got around to dealing with it exactly in the way that I wanted to. But, you know, it was good. It still ran fine. It was pretty quick. It got me around. It got me to meets and stuff like that. So, I mean, the car was a good car. Then a Vegas drift event came up that had a wet sesh. And I really wanted to take the car in the wet sesh because I was kind of getting into drifting a little bit. But I didn't want to take it out on the wet sesh with the bad injector, with the boost leaks, the vacuum leaks, stuff like that. So me and my friends were like, you know what? Let's take a weekend. Let's do some maintenance on it before we take it out. So I buy gaskets, I buy stuff to fix my boost leaks. But the main issue was buying the injectors. Now I was kind of having a hard time sourcing OEM injectors. And the other ones were either a higher CC or like way out of my budget. And that's my first problem with an RB. Budget is kind of a thing you're gonna have to accept. You're gonna want expensive parts. It's kind of the moral of the story. Use my story as a cautionary tale. But I got in contact with a local company that said they had injectors that would work on my car. Now originally the injectors were for an SR20, but they assured me that it was like a direct swap on RB25 because it was both 370cc and side feed, and that it wouldn't require tuning or anything like that. And they were a local company. So I was like, okay, go local. It's a good price. Let's trust them. And that was probably like the biggest mistake I could have made, to be honest. So we take the weekend, we put the new parts in the car, we start it up and it runs great. We go to O'Reilly's to buy like one more hose I needed to fix a boost leak. We come back, we try to start the car, it doesn't start. We give it some throttle, the car ends up starting, but it has like the worst misfire that I've ever heard, and it's spitting a ton of gas out the exhaust. At this point, I'm super nervous. I'm like, oh no, like what have I done? I limped the car back to my friend's house where we were working on it down the road, and I ended up towing it to a local shop here in Las Vegas. They look at it, they opened it up, and they had realized that that injector had malfunctioned. It got stuck open and filled up my cylinder with gas, fried my piston ring for that cylinder. They finally cleaned all the gas out, did a compression test, and realized that it had like way lower compression than the other cylinders. So not good. There's no really good way to fix that except to take the engine apart, and I never did take the engine apart, but who knows if it was scarred on the block, who knows if the cylinder was all messed up. There's no way of knowing without taking it all apart, but like long story short, the engine was toast. I towed it back home and the car sat from January to May, and me and my friend finally got it running again. I got a new set of used OEM injectors and we replaced them, got the car running, but it ran horrible. It would still get into boost, it would still turn on every time, but it was basically running on 5 cylinders, like the engine had low compression anyways. So I just knew that the engine was kind of toast. So I'm calling around, I'm trying to price out how much it would be to rebuild the engine, and no shops want to take the project on, no shops want to rebuild it, and they're telling me RB25, the cost to rebuild it is not worth it. Like, just pay to get a new engine because it's going to be more to rebuild it. So I'm like, okay, let's check out RB prices. I'm looking, and like the cheapest I can find is $5,000. I'm trying to stomach the issue of buying a new engine for $5,000. At the same time, I'm like, okay, if I'm gonna do all that work to get a new engine in it, I want the car to be manual. If I'm gonna spend all that money, I want the car to be more fun. So I'm pricing out a manual and I'm doing all my research, I'm asking around, and it ends up just being more and more and more than I thought it would be, until around it was like $5,000 was the total I came up with for manual swapping the car. So I'm sitting there with the car that runs not great. It basically needs a new engine, and I also want to manual swap it, and the price tag I'm looking at is like $10K. And I'm in college. I'm still in college, but I was in college still at the time, and dropping $10,000 on that car just didn't seem like a good option for me. I just couldn't do it. So I ended up putting the car for sale. I had a lot of trade offers. A lot of people offered me cool things, but there was just nothing, nothing's kind of worked out until one day, someone from Arizona was really interested in the car. He had a buddy come and check it out. And I have my details of exactly what happened in the Facebook Marketplace listing. I reemphasize it with the guy that's here, and I tell him, hey, this is what happened. This is what happened with the injector. This is the compression numbers, and I told him explicitly, it needs a rebuild or it needs a swap, right? And he relays his information to his friend. The guy messages me the next day from Arizona and goes, yeah, I think I'll take it. Now, I don't want to talk about like the exact number I sold the car for, but if you take the amount I bought the car for, all the mods, all the maintenance, everything, I only sold it for $1,000 less than the total I had into it. And I realized that there was never going to be a chance for me to get my money back on this car. Like, this was my opportunity to kind of just wash my hands with it, cash out, and start something new, because that car was just going to be a money pit. And honestly, in college, I just didn't have the money to put $10,000 into my car right there. It's not something that I was comfortable doing. So I figured, you know what, sell it, just wash your hands with it. As much as I miss it, it's just the smartest financial option for me, and you can get something else with that money. So yeah, to make a long story short, I cheaped out on parts, ended up pretty much blowing the engine, and I just realized that a new engine with manual swap was just more than I was comfortable spending. And someone came and I gave him the honest information about everything that happened with the car, and he wanted it and wanted to cash me out. And I think that was just the smartest choice for me. And I ended up taking that money and getting the R34 plus having some left over. So I think that, it went as well as it could have. Now, of course, there are things I wish I did differently. I wish that I didn't cheap out the injectors. I wish that I didn't just buy the automatic car. But to be honest with you, when I bought that car, I was kind of new to the JDM scene. I didn't understand how expensive working on Skylines was going to be. I didn't understand the importance of getting those real quality parts, the authentic parts and stuff like that. So I've definitely learned my lesson. Use this tale as like a cautionary works to kind of guide you in building your car. I'm definitely taking the lessons I've learned, and I think I got really lucky in the situation, and I'm gonna use it to kind of guide my build on the 34. So thank you guys for watching. I get people asking me all the time, why'd you sell the car? And I don't think I ever really explained it in full. So there you go. There's the story explained in full. Thanks for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe. Check out my Instagram for daily content, and I'll catch you guys next time.